How far would someone go just to keep a promise? That question struck millions of fans when Wendy of Red Velvet, in a quiet yet emotionally charged moment during a recent radio broadcast, disclosed how Jin of BTS fulfilled a promise that no one thought he would ever remember, let alone act on. The revelation came without fanfare, yet it ignited one of the most heartfelt reactions across the global K-pop community. What could Jin have done that left Wendy speechless and brought tears to fans who witnessed his sincerity from afar during her guest appearance on SBS Power FM's Kultuo show? Wendy recalled an unexpected conversation that brought her back to one of the most personal interactions she had with Jin before his military enlistment. Her voice carried both nostalgia and disbelief as she revealed that Jin had reached out quietly, without cameras, without the public's eye, to keep a promise he made years ago. A promise, she said, that wasn't about fame, music, or publicity, but about kindness and respect. And that statement alone became the center of a story that redefined how idols honor their word in a world where schedules and stardom often blur sincerity. Wendy explained that back when she hosted her radio show Wendy's Young Street, Jin had promised he would appear on her program once his schedule allowed it. It was an innocent moment, almost a casual exchange between two artists, but for Wendy, it meant more than just a guest booking. It was a sign of trust. Months passed, Jin enlisted, and the world changed around them. No one expected the promise to resurface, not in the whirlwind of post-service activities, world tours, or media frenzy. Yet somehow, Jin remembered. And what followed next left even industry insiders stunned. According to Wendy, Jin had personally contacted the station after his return from military service, requesting that the arrangement be handled quietly. He didn't want it to be a headline or a promotional act. He only wanted to fulfill his word, to sit in that same studio, with Wendy as host, and talk as he once promised. It wasn't a staged moment. It wasn't a media plan. It was simply Jin, true to his nature, choosing to turn a simple statement into a real action. The result, Wendy admitted, caught everyone off guard, including HYB. The company reportedly had not been informed in advance, and yet Jin's insistence on keeping his word revealed a side of integrity that the entertainment industry rarely sees. Observers have long known Jin as the member of BTS who treats words with gravity, but this act, as small as it may seem, exposed something deeper. It wasn't about a promise to appear on a show. It was about keeping one's humanity intact in an industry that often forgets it. The quietness of the gesture made it even more powerful. Jin could have turned it into a spectacle. He could have let cameras document every moment of his return to public radio. But he didn't. He arrived early, greeted the staff by name, and sat down before the red light of the mic turned on. Wendy later said that the energy in the room changed completely, not because Jin was a superstar, but because he remembered everyone, even the smallest details. For ARMYs, this moment became something larger than a broadcast appearance. It was a reminder that Jin's character, patient, loyal, and grounded, has always defined him more than his fame. Fans began sharing the story online, framing it as one of the most beautiful examples of integrity in K-pop. Hashtags and discussions erupted across platforms, yet what stood out was the tone. It wasn't the usual wave of excitement, but something quieter, more emotional, almost reverent. People weren't just celebrating Jin's return to radio. They were moved by the realization that promises, even in the noise of celebrity life, still means something. Industry analysts also noted the timing. Jin had just concluded a series of appearances in the United States, gaining global attention for his solo activities and philanthropic gestures. Yet amid all that scale, he chose to honor a personal promise in Korea first, an act that many saw as a statement of his values. One critic from a Seoul-based media outlet described it as a masterclass in humility, an artist showing that his loyalty transcends fame. Indeed, Jin's action contrasted sharply with the image of celebrities who often let small commitments fade into oblivion once their schedules evolve. The emotional impact on Wendy was evident throughout the interview. Her tone fluctuated between admiration and disbelief, her eyes welling up as she shared how Jin personally thanked her for waiting. She admitted she hadn't expected him to remember, especially given how long it had been since they last spoke. He just said, "I told you I'd come back here one day." It wasn't dramatic, but it was powerful, Wendy said, pausing briefly as her voice softened. That sentence, simple yet profound, encapsulated the essence of Jin's personality: deliberate, thoughtful, and unwaveringly sincere. Fans who tuned in described the episode as surreal and emotionally heavy. Many said it reminded them of Jin's earlier interviews, where he emphasized that sincerity is the foundation of every human connection, regardless of fame. For years, Jin has maintained a reputation not only as a performer, but as a man of his word, someone who values the relationships behind the spotlight. This event with Wendy reaffirmed that image, solidifying his legacy as both an artist and a person of integrity. The timing also added layers of meaning. Coming shortly after his return from military service, Jin's fulfillment of this promise symbolized more than just continuity. It symbolized renewal. It told fans that even after years apart, even after transformations in career and life, he still remembered the small moments that define real human bonds. His quiet act reminded the public that artistry is not only measured by performance, but by the consistency of one's character when no one is watching. Wendy, known for her composure on air, struggled to hold back tears as she described how Jin thanked every crew member by name before leaving the studio. She admitted that his calm demeanor and gentle humor felt like nothing had changed, even though both of their careers had evolved enormously since that first promise. That sentiment echoed across the internet, with countless fans expressing gratitude not only to Jin but to Wendy for revealing the story. Many claimed it restored their faith in the sincerity of idol friendships, something often doubted in the high-pressure K-pop landscape. What makes this revelation even more intriguing is how it mirrors Jin's pattern of fulfilling his words, quietly, precisely, without the need for publicity. Whether it's visiting a trainee he once mentored, reaching out to staff members he hasn't seen in years, or sending small tokens of appreciation to colleagues, Jin has built a reputation for being someone who never lets promises fade. His attention to detail and consistency in kindness have become part of his identity, admired even by those outside BTS's fandom. As the story spread, even non-fans found themselves reflecting on the meaning of promises in modern celebrity culture. Can an act as simple as keeping one's words still move millions in an age dominated by spectacle? Jin's gesture seems to prove that it can, and that sincerity, when expressed without agenda, can cut through the noise of fame. Wendy's revelation wasn't meant to go viral, yet it did, precisely because authenticity has become a rarity worth celebrating. The emotional resonance of this story reaches far beyond the two artists involved. It speaks to something universal, the longing for truth in a world of performance. Jin's decision to quietly fulfill his word became a form of resistance against the culture of convenience, against the assumption that fame erases humanity. For fans who have followed him through every stage of his career, this story reaffirmed what they've always believed: that Jin's true strength is not only his voice or stage presence, but his integrity when no one expects anything from him.